Hi everyone, welcome back. So hopefully I can do this video without any interruptions. I can't promise you guys, but if there is interruption, I'll come back for a part 2. So, man, I'm enjoying this quarantine, by the way. I'm in New York City, chilling, relaxing like most people are doing. You know, at home, social distancing, a lot of free time. A lot of free time on my hands. And it's a good thing for me. I'm not complaining about it. Chilling, not complaining about it, because I know in the fall when my pre-doc internship starts up, your girl gonna be busy. That's gonna be full time, busy, busy, busy. So why not take this time to do things that I enjoy doing, which is vlogging about very interesting and controversial topics. So hello to everyone who has joined the live so far. I am doing this live. Aziz, Tamika, what's up, everybody? Come on in. Nadir, where are you guys tuning in from? Y'all have some very interesting names. Come on in, you guys. Let's talk. This is going to be a very juicy topic right here. Talking about how to get your partner to open up sexually. I had to be kind of a little more conservative with the topic of this video, but the question that I'm going to address is a little bit more explicit, and I really didn't want to make the title too explicit, you know, because of course Facebook is a family-friendly website, and so is YouTube, which I usually upload my videos to YouTube after I do them. Hi, Rodrigo. So I am going to address your question. Oh, sorry, you probably didn't want me to reveal that it was your question, but someone sent me a question in my inbox, and I welcome you guys to send your questions as well. I understand that sometimes certain questions people may feel ashamed to ask. They may feel is inappropriate, because I said you guys can drop your questions and comments below if you have a question or concern regarding BDSM, cuckold, or poly lifestyle. So I said, come on, send them on in. If you guys are ashamed to drop them like publicly on my post, you guys can always email me, inbox me those questions on Facebook, or send it directly to my email address. So, Alabama, what's up, Angela? What's up? Hello, it is afternoon here in New York City. It's 12:18. So, thank you guys for tuning in. So, I got a question not even an hour ago. Someone sent me saying, how can I get my wife to fuck 3 men at the same time? And I say, oh my gosh, that is a great question. And of course, you guys know I could be pretty long-winded, right? And even though I'm a writer, I love to write. Typing, you know, a question, typing an answer to a question like that is very dynamic and really has a lot of moving parts to it. I would rather save it for a video. So that's the reason why I decided to go live and to address that question in this video, because that's a really good question. How can you get your partner to open up more sexually? And basically, his question is very specific. He's saying, how can he get his wife? So this isn't a girlfriend. This isn't a side piece. This isn't just somebody that he met off a dating app. This is someone he's married to. And I'm sure he has a lot of respect for her. How can he get her to open up more sexually and to engage in a very specific act, sexual act, that she may have never thought about? Or maybe she has thought about it. Maybe she probably pondered or fantasized about what it would be like to have sex with 3 men at the same time while my husband watches. You know, and that kind of falls under the umbrella of cuckold, which you guys know I've made several videos on cuckold, and apparently there's a growing interest in me talking about that topic. So, all right, Turkey, Istanbul. So I like talking about topics like this, and that's something that I want the person who sent me that question to think about. Now, it's a lot of things to think about. This is a very loaded question. So maybe she has considered or fantasized about what it would be like to have sex with multiple men at the same time. You will be surprised what goes on in a person's mind, what goes on in a woman's mind behind closed doors that they may not feel comfortable talking about publicly, or even in a small circle with friends that they're intimate with, right, or close to. They don't feel comfortable because there's so much stigma surrounding alternative lifestyles, right? So people keep all of this stuff repressed. They keep it hidden, you know? And you guys know I'm all for sexual liberation. Be yourself. Live in your truth. No need to hide. You don't need anyone's permission to be who you are, to express yourself, to do whatever it is you want to do within your household, because it's your life. As long as you're not doing anything illegal or hurting anyone, you know, it's involving the consent of all the parties involved, should not be a problem. So I'm going to talk about how you can get your wife. Very interesting question. How can you get your wife to agree to have sex, or to actually have sex with 3 men at the same time? That sounds very exciting. That sounds fun, if you ask me. Now, have I done it? I have not done it. But I can promise you there are a lot of women who have thought about doing it. They just haven't done it. So I have some questions for you, and I have some things I want you to think about and to consider. First and foremost, are you the person who asks this question? Have you even thought about, okay, if she says yes, if she's willing to do it, if she's open to doing this activity, are you prepared for that? Are you prepared psychologically for that, emotionally for that? Because it sounds like a fantasy that you've had, and maybe you've been sparked by one of my videos. Maybe you've been like inspired. So you're like, that sounds interesting. Maybe I want to try being a cuckold and have my wife do this. Not a bad idea. But there are a lot of things to consider, and we're going to think it out, because sometimes people have these ideas and they just go and jump on it. They don't really think it out. They don't plan it out. So it's helpful to be able to think it out. We're going to do that here in this video. And for anybody else who's watching who may have this similar idea or same idea, we're going to think this thing all the way out into detail. So if she says yes, because I want to address you, the guy, this husband who wants his wife to have sex with 3 men. And I would assume that she hasn't done it. That's the reason why you're asking, how can you get her to do it? Are you prepared for that? You got to think about all the possible scenarios that can come from this situation. I don't know how many years you have been married to her, or if you're willing to share. Maybe you want to remain private. But if you guys have a very strong relationship, a strong marriage, and you value the bond that you created with this woman, and you're talking about bringing other people inside of that relationship, regardless if it's just for sex, right? It's still a relationship. When you have sex with somebody else, that is a relationship, right? Somebody says, why did he marry her? That's a good question too. But just because a person loves a person doesn't mean that they don't want to be sexually open and explore different activities and different lifestyles, you know? That's just different. So we can't assume, we can't go casting judgments and making a blanket statement or making these assumptions thinking that just because a person is married or in love that they can't explore, right? Let's not judge. Let's keep things respectful, because that's one thing that I value about this space here on my platform is people being comfortable and able to express themselves freely without being judged and ridiculed. So we're not going to go calling people animals. Nobody is an animal. We're not going to do that here. So That's just a warning now. So, yes, that's something that I think is worth exploring. Have you thought about if she says yes? If she's like, all right, she's at the point where she's ready. And we're going to talk about the level of comfortability and how to get her to that point. Because it depends on where she's at mentally in terms of how long it's going to take to get her to that point of the actual act of doing this thing, right? So let's fast forward and say she's already at that point mentally where she's ready, right? She's ready mentally, emotionally. She's ready physically. She's ready. She's like, all right, let's do this. Are you ready? Because I think first, before she is ready, you have to be ready as the man. You have to be ready as the man to deal with whatever comes with that. Because what you do not want to do is just take the risk of doing something that you've never done before. You and her never done before. And then there are some serious consequences that comes along with that. You invite 3 men into your bedroom to have sex with your wife. I mean, just imagine the number of scenarios that can come from that. And we're not even talking about STDs because that's a given. I think that as adults, we should already know that, of course, you get tested. You know, you practice safe sex. That's already a given. That's not what this video is really about. I'm really talking about the process in which a person goes through psychologically and emotionally to being able to explore different sexual activities with their partner that they have not explored before. They're going and touching a ground that they haven't conquered before, you know. So yes, of course, doing this within the confines of safety, health and safety, that's first and foremost, and that's almost like a unspoken rule. That's a given, right? So there's so many different scenarios that can play out. So many different, like, what if she falls in love? What if she develops an attachment to one of these men? Are you prepared to deal with that? As a man who's wanting to see his wife have sex with these men, because you guys got to understand, sex is more than just sex. It's an exchange of energy. It's an exchange of spirits. There is a spiritual connection that takes place when people have sex, especially for women. It is different. Okay, Nader, I'm about to block you because you're saying things that I feel that are really inappropriate. Like, maybe you're just trying to get attention, but if you think that it's sick, why are you here? Maybe you're on the wrong video. So you're going to get blocked for the remainder of this video, and I may unblock you later. We'll see. So, that's the thing. This is the reason why, and that's a good example to show the reason why people don't live out their fantasies, because they fear judgment. That's a prime example of why people just don't do things like that. People put themselves in a mental prison because they fear judgment, and they internalize these negative attitudes surrounding sex, alternative sexual lifestyles and behaviors. They internalize this, and they develop a very strong inhibition, fear, and to being able to, it gets in the way. The inhibition gets in the way of them being able to express themselves and explore. So let's go into talking about that part, because yes, first and foremost, like I said, as the man, you have to be willing to explore what it would be like for you. Are you prepared for that? Having an open discussion with her about what comes along with doing something like this. Now, unless you're just spontaneous, and some people are risque, and they're just like, you know, I don't care what comes along with it. I don't care if she develops an attachment. I don't care what happens. I'm prepared for whatever. I'm just going to jump into it, and whatever happens, happens. And that's just the excitement. That's part of the excitement that comes along with it. Then you can take that route as well. So after you've explored your thought process, You've explored the different scenarios that could happen, like attachments that could happen. Her losing an attraction towards you. Her losing that intimacy that she probably once had with you. And maybe the intimacy is already lost. Maybe that's the reason why you want to bring in 3 men to have sex with your wife. Because maybe that connection between you and your wife is already dissipated. It's gone. So you want to spice things up a little bit. Nothing wrong with that either, though. Things happen. We're all human beings. Things happen. It's nature. People fall in and out of love all the time in marriages. So that's normal. So I am doing great, Taylor. Where are you watching from? So moving along to your question as to how to get her to get to that point where she's actually having sex with these men. Yes, it's important to address that first and foremost, your own internal process, your own mind frame about how you would respond to that situation if you were given that opportunity. Then consider where she's at mentally. Where is she mentally? Do you know your wife that well enough to know her perspective on this? You got to start there. You got to gauge it. Because depending on where she's at mentally, it's going to affect how you go about the next steps. Because if you can talk to her. I don't know if you guys had a conversation about this, but what if you just take the risk and start just talking to her about it? I don't know. Pause. Maybe not. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because I'm thinking from my perspective of being a person who's open-minded. Not every woman is open-minded. She can be very closed-minded, and that would not be a good idea, you guys. If you know your partner is closed, if you already kind of have an idea, like, nah, they ain't going for it, then no. She's going to be like, what the fuck? You're trying me. You're disrespecting me. She may feel disrespected. So let's say she falls in the category of a woman that is completely shut down. You know this because maybe you've proposed the idea in a different way. Maybe y'all watched a television show and they were talking about that, and you heard her response to what she saw on TV, and you kind of got that idea like, nah, she would not be open to that, right? If she falls in that category, completely shut down, no, then you will want to baby step her into it, right? It's just like anything else that you're exposing a human being to that they aren't used to, that they have a fear or inhibition towards, right? Like babies taking a swim. Babies never been in a deep pool before, right? With a lot of water. They may have been in a bathtub, right? But being in a bathtub is very different from being in 5 feet of water, or 6 feet of water, 7 feet of water. A pool, right? It's very different, right? They know the difference. Babies can understand death, right? That they have depth perception. So they know if their life is in danger just based on knowing the depth of the water, right? And you have different perspectives on this. You'll have some people say, just throw the baby in the pool. Let them just fight for their survival, But that can create a very traumatic experience. So I wouldn't take that approach, right? And it's just like anything else. When a person has a fear, whether it's fear of spiders, fear of crossing a bridge, fear of bungee jumping, fear of anything, you have to slowly approximate them to that desired behavior that you're expecting that person to engage in. You can't just throw them out there, right? There are successive approximations where you reward them slowly adapting to that behavior that you want them to do. You give them positive reinforcement, right? You gotta baby step them. For a child who doesn't like vegetables, right? You ain't gonna just sit up here and say, here, eat these vegetables, because they ain't probably never tasted the vegetables before, right? So maybe you want to mix the vegetables in with some fruit, Parents do this all the time. I don't have kids, but I've taken care of kids before, and I do know that You have to ease it in there. Same thing with exposing your partner to the idea of being sexually open to engage in different activities. And for this person who asked this question, to fuck 3 men at the same time. The funny thing though is that I think if we were to do a survey and ask women, how many partners, male partners, have you had in your entire life, right? Let's keep it real. Most women are not virgins when they get married. They're just not virgins. They've already had sex with so many men. They may have not had polyamorous sex, but they have had sex with men sequentially throughout their life. A number of men. And so, will it be that far-fetched for a woman who's already sexually experienced to try different things like that with her husband if she's already been there, done that? Like, she has experience fucking, right? Okay, 3 men, no, you know, but she does have experience, right? And she's probably watched porn before. Like, she's not a virgin. She's not this angel. She's not this nun, you know, like she already has exposure to this thing, right? You still, even though you know psychologically that she is completely shut down, her body ain't shut down necessarily. Her body isn't shut down, you guys. And though our minds and our bodies are very much interconnected, they are separate. So mentally, we could be opposed to something, right? But our body can say otherwise. Same thing with, like, take food, for example. You may know eating pork is bad, but it don't mean that your body may not crave the taste of pork or any other food. Mentally, you're like, nah, don't like it. It's the same thing with delicious dessert, but your body will play tricks on you. Your body is still a part of your mind. So you can have cravings that are really coming from your body, and it sends signals to your mind telling you, go buy a Snickers bar when you know that you're probably on a diet, right? So to tie this back in, I'm trying to make it very relatable so you guys can understand where I'm coming from, because the thing with engaging in different sexual activity for a person who hasn't done it and you're trying to get them exposed to it, having a conversation about this is, I think, the first step. But you don't want to put that person in the conversation, if that makes sense, right? You want to take a backwards approach by speaking about this topic third person, putting somebody else in that situation, but you're still putting her in the situation subconsciously, right? Like, her mind is in the situation subconsciously. In this scenario that you're imagining yourself or imagining her to be in, you're putting her in it subconsciously, but you're using somebody else. So you may say, or you may actually just generally talk about this topic, right? You may watch a video, and you can be watching a video about it. I ain't talking about porn now, unless your wife is into this. Unless she watches porn, but some women don't. They try to play like, oh, I'm innocent, I'm an angel. They don't want to watch porn. Fine. So I wouldn't say watch porn, but watch a video, maybe even like mine. Or a video that is very mature, that is not like too offensive or explicit, that is more like educational, and expose her to it, right? But don't make it seem like you're trying to make a proposal. You know, it's like you have to like baby step your way. You got to make the proposal, but not make the proposal directly, right? So you could probably just watch the video and not even invite her to watch it with you, but she's there. so she hears it. And while you're watching it, she's going to express a curiosity in whatever you're doing. I mean, if y'all have a good relationship, this is given that all else is equal, right? Y'all have a good relationship. She respects you. Because if she doesn't respect you and y'all already have problems, that's a hurdle that you gotta jump over. Like, you gotta rewind. Let's go back. Rewind. You know, if they're like, you guys are having like marital problems and there's like trust and, you know, you betrayed her before, you slipped outside like all this stuff. She doesn't respect you. Maybe she's wanting a divorce. Asking her to have sex with 3 men, like, you ain't even nowhere near that. But if she respects you, you guys have a good working relationship as a married couple, then you have a chance, I think. And a woman who respects a man is going to follow him. Is going to follow his lead, typically. And by you just watching a video that you're curious about, your wife is going to express a curiosity for it. Not to say she's going to be like, oh, I like that, I agree with that. And no, not to that extent. But she's still going to be wanting to know, what are you watching? What is that? What is that about? You know, and you're expressing curiosity in it. You know, that's one thing that you can do. Watch a video with her if she's open to it. Read a book that discusses this topic. You know, there are so many books on cuckold and polyamorous lifestyle, poly lifestyle. It's so much information out there. Websites. There are so many websites, blogs that cover this, you know, in a respectful way. Because everything has to do with respect. Everything, the bottom line is respect. If a person feels disrespected, nah, they're going to shy away from it. So, of course, respect has to be there. Events. There are events where they host workshops to teach couples and to teach individual people who are curious about this lifestyle. So I would recommend exposing her to these different things, you know, sequentially. Like, of course, you're not going to just throw her out there to the sharks, right? But baby step. I keep saying baby step. Baby step. And the more open that she is in responding to these small proposals, the more likely she would be able to progress to something like that. But even still, just because she's watched a television show with you, right, and she may laugh and, you know, respond positively towards another couple doing the poly lifestyle, right, and she's read a magazine or a blog, doesn't mean she's quite ready to jump there yet. Right? Doesn't mean she's quite ready to put herself in that situation, right? So, and the thing is, when I read that comment, when I read that question, when you inboxed me and you asked about 3 men, I'm just like, damn, he really did jump in there. Like, he's going full-fledged, like 3. He didn't say 1 other man, he said 3. So, after she feels comfortable with learning about it and she eventually develops a curiosity for this kind of thing, 1 would be good. Start with 1. 3, no, unless she feeling bold and courageous. But 1 other guy, 1 other man is a starting point. And that man is someone I think you should allow her to choose. You should allow her to make the decision on who she's going to have sex with. This can vary though. It depends on your relationship. Maybe she's a submissive woman and likes you to make the decisions. Then you can decide. You both can decide. But I think you will be surprised. See, a lot of men think that, oh, their wife is going to be completely shut down to this. But you will be surprised. How many women also have the same fantasies? The same thing with sex. There's a narrative that says that, oh, men think about sex a certain number of times a day, right? Shit, you will be surprised how many times women thinking about sex too. Now, of course, their hormones, their menstrual cycle can have an effect on their mood, right? Their mood. That's why women have mood swings. So not every single day throughout the month a woman is thinking about sex, because there are hormones that are at play that influence her mood. She's ovulating. She probably ain't really feeling it like that, right? Maybe she could be feeling it like that. It just depends on what part of her cycle. If she's bleeding, chances are a woman definitely ain't thinking about no freaking sex if she's bleeding. She ain't thinking about sex but leading up to her bleeding either. But the reason I say maybe she may not be open to it during ovulation, because ovulation can mimic, like the experience that when a woman is ovulating can mimic the symptoms of her actually bleeding during her cycle. You know, like she's an irritable mood, stomach cramps. So she probably ain't really feeling like, just, it depends. Timing is everything, you guys. It's everything. When you want to like slide in these ideas on your partner, timing is everything. And you always want to catch a person when they're in a good mood. Not in a bad, in a good mood. Because it softens their defenses. It kind of lowers their defenses when they are in a good mood. Make it easy on yourself. Don't make it difficult. But I think that'll be really exciting to, when a woman gets to that point, right? She's learned about it, read about it. She's seen that it's normal, because people are more likely to engage in something, even if it's a so-called like demeaning activity, right? But they're more likely to do it if other people are doing it and they know the other people who are doing it, right? It makes them feel not as different, not as like isolated, right? So they don't feel judged. They know somebody else is doing it is one thing, but they actually know the person, other people who are doing this thing, then they're like, all right, I might want to try it. So that's why having a support group is important, and that's why I mentioned going to events, So after you guys kind of have explored it on a one-to-one level, through magazines, blogs, website, books, documentaries, take it up a notch, explore different events. It's out there. I don't know what city you live in. Places like New York City, like that are highly diverse and populated, have all kinds of people that live in it. They have all kinds of events that cater towards people's interests. And so that would be a good next step. After you guys explored it on an individual level, one-to-one, go out there and see what events are out there. Word of mouth is great. So knowing somebody who knows somebody and that knows about an event that is supportive and safe, you don't want to go into something that is going to make it an awful experience for her, because that would be terrible, right? If she's just now exploring different parts of her sexuality as a woman, and then she has a terrible experience at an event, it can shut her down, and then she's back to square one again, right? So you definitely don't want that to happen. Create a safe place for her. Create a safe space for her to blossom into this butterfly, right? That she craves, because a person may have an inhibition towards a certain sexual activity, but there's always a proclivity within us. There's always a different aspect of our identity, a different aspect of ourself that is curious, that you could nurture, you can water, you can feed over time. So that's how you do it. You do it over time. It ain't going to happen overnight. Everybody is different. But you definitely want to create a healthy relationship first and foremost that you can build upon to be able to explore. Because if your relationship is toxic, what's the likelihood you're going to be able to get your wife to agree to this favor that you're asking her to do with 3 men? Like, no. So when you're at the point where you're like at events and she feels comfortable and it's a safe place and you guys are networking with other people and she is hearing stories from other people who are engaged in this activity and have done it and they can share their positive experiences with her, that is watering that idea. That's watering that interest, right, in her. Gotta water the seed, right? You plant the seed, then you water it. And when she's ready, because it's all about her readiness, not yours. I mean, of course, I already said in the beginning, you gotta be prepared. But after you're prepared, the focus is on her, right? Because you're trying to get her to do something that she was initially verbally opposed to. So when you're at that point where she is ready and she feels safe, then you guys can explore who are you going to bring in? Who is the first guy you're going to bring in? She may have some ideas already. Could it be your best friend? Maybe you guys have had dinner parties where you brought over your best friend and maybe she's been eyeing out your best friend. Or your coworker. Or maybe her boss. Or the maintenance man. The mailman. Your brother. Like, it can be a number of people. Maybe she got an eye for your dad. No, different strokes for different folks, right? So it really is about what she wants and what makes her feel safe and comfortable. You know, because you're going to be, I'm assuming you're going to be the one sitting back watching her fuck these 3 men. Or are you going to participate too? Seems like it's better, more exciting if you just kind of sit back as a voyeur, as an observer, just sitting back, chilling, you know? And these should be people that you trust. You don't invite anybody into your house. So if you don't invite anybody into your house, your dwelling, a physical space, you don't invite anybody into her body. You know, her vagina has more value than your house. Believe it or not, you know, because some men just don't have respect for women, you know, so they objectify women. But, you know, women, we're valuable creatures, you know. She's a human being, she's a person, so you don't just want to invite anybody to have sex with your wife. Like, this has to be a very intimate relationship, very intimate decision that is being made. Making sure that you trust this person. It ain't just some random person you just say, all right, we're desperate, we're ready, let's go. And you go on Craigslist and try to find some, no. Or go on a dating app, like, oh, no. I would not recommend that. It has to be somebody that you courted, that you develop, you know, trust with, you know, obviously it has to be STD free, you know, and then you can go there, and that would be very fun. That's the icing on the cake. Like, once you get to that point, that's like the fireworks. It's just like, wow, we've done it, you know. And I think it's even more exciting when this process has happened over time, right? There's a developmental process that's happening within her and within your relationship that's taken time to nurture and to build. Let's say it takes a year for this thing to happen, right? For her to go from, nope, not interested, not even thinking about it, never crossed my mind, to, all right, planning the day and time, what she's going to wear, you know. If it takes a year, just imagine how much more exciting it's going to be able to enjoy the moment, to savor the moment. Like, I can picture myself in a situation like that, and I'm just imagining, like, that would be really exciting. Just like anything else you worked really hard for, right? The longer it took, the more work that you had to put in to get to that point, the better the reward, you know. And then I think once she's done it with one man, it makes it easier to do it with two. Once she's done it with two, it makes it easier to do it with three, right? But it's all about what she feels comfortable doing and what are her hard limits, because we all have hard limits sexually. Some women are opposed to anal sex. You know, some women, like myself, are opposed to oral sex. And so when you're talking about 3 men, how is it that they are going to be able to do this at the same time with her, because the woman only has but so many holes, right? I mean, well, let's just be frank here. We're thinking this thing through, because you don't want to just go jump into something and false, bad planning, right? You want to make sure that it's, you're very strategic about it. What would it look like? Imagine it first. Fantasize about it first, right? Before you actually go and try to make this thing happen. Okay, let's say you got 3 men. You got her. You guys are at a safe place. Who's starting first? What does that look like? Are you going to start missionary? Oral sex? Anal sex? What if she's opposed to it? What if that's her hard limit? One of her hard limits, No oral sex, no anal sex. Then what? They're going to run a train on her? Or are they just going to just stimulate her by touching her at the same time? Alright? So one man is just like massaging her legs. One man is kissing her, rubbing his fingers through her hair. The other man obviously is fucking her, One man is sucking her titties. Possibilities are endless. Sounds like a lot of fun. Like I say, it's a great question. Not a bad idea. But it's definitely important to think it through. And it's good that you are being responsible about this. Because you could have just been like, all right, I'm going to go and just ask my wife, hey, I want you to fuck 3 men. And that would be interesting to see her response. Because some people would take that approach. They're going to be like, all right, I want to be honest. I want to be transparent. That's what love is about, right? Being able to share and express yourself. Yeah, to a certain extent. Doesn't mean you just go out and just say any and everything. Because some things you say could be very disrespectful and she can be offended by it. So you want to consider her feelings and how she would feel based on what you are proposing to her. That's how you nurture a healthy relationship. It's just not about what you need and what you want, but thinking about how what you want and you expressing that to her, how is that going to impact her and she's going to respond to that. She is you, you are her, you guys are one. Even though you're 2, you're still 1. You have to look at it that way, right? So you want to make sure that you respect her, she respects you. And you want to take care of her, she takes care of you. You protect her. That's most important for something like this to happen. I want to hear what you guys think. Feel free to comment below. Share your concerns. Share your thoughts. Share your questions below. Share this video. And I'll catch you guys at the next one.